Hi everyone, it's Liam here from Rating the Races. So we're going to have two videos of selections for tomorrow. One to come at the Curragh and one to come at the Newmarket. But we've got four at the Shergar Cup meeting that I'm quite keen on. We will start off in the 135, the Shergar Cup dash over 5 furlongs. Now the ground is on the straight course, good to soft, which is where they're going to run here. And I've highlighted a horse for this race a little while ago, and pleased to see they are going for it. And I think they might as well. And that horse is the 9-year-old Tis Marvellous. Obviously, I like this race because it's a 9-year-old. You're not going to be probably winning the featured top class, heritage handicaps, but you could win a Dubai duty free Shergar Cup dash, and it's worth 39 grand for the winner. So I think this is a good bit of placing from Clive Cox. Now, this season's form hasn't been great. He's disappointed in his last two at Newmarket and at Ascot in the Wokingham, actually failing to beat a horse home in his last two. However, Newmarket was his return, and it was in a Group 3, probably just beaten by better horses on the day, and it was his return, and maybe he just needed the run. He then went to Ascot, and I think the ground was too lively for him there, and he finished last of 27. But he returns to this race that he actually won a couple of years ago. He won this race in 2021 under Kevin Stott, off this mark of 102. He also has a really good R figure here, look. 5 furlongs at Ascot on heavy going. Now, that actually came beating Minzal. If you can beat Minzal, that's impressive form. They pulled clear of Dakota Gold, Keep Busy significantly. Now, I think that's really strong form. He gets similar going. He is nicely handicapped now. He did go up to a mark of 112. He ran in the King's Stands in 2022 at Royal Ascot. Not beaten miles. He was only beaten 8 and a quarter lengths in a Group 1. Since then, he went and won a Beverley Bullet. That's about his level. He then found the Group 3 at Newbury too hot. He then disappointed in a listed race in October, when the ground may have been a bit lively, and I think there was a lot of unexposed improvers that day. There was Manakan, Anaf, Corker, Designer, Ainsdale, really unexposed horses running there. I don't think there's as interesting horses running against him tomorrow, and part of the key for the Shergar Cup is the jockeys. Now, I'm quite happy with the jockey booking on Tis Marvellous. So it's Luke Morris. Now, it doesn't have the best record at Ascot for sure, but his style of riding, I think, is key here, and I think it will suit Tis Marvellous. So Tis Marvellous is generally just behind the pace, second or third sort of position early on, and then takes a lot of riding. Actually, if you go and watch the style of Adam Kirby when winning on Tis Marvellous, when beating Minzal, and then go and watch the style of Luke Morris, I think they're very similar. They have a very similar style. It's a very bouncy sort of bouncing on the horse to get them to go forward, as well as using the whip. Yeah, I think this is... I don't have any issues with Luke Morris riding Tis Marvellous. If it was a hold-up horse, maybe I wouldn't have been as keen with Luke Morris on. I don't think he's as good on horses that are held up. But certainly I think in this type of race, where the horse should be just behind the pace, I think he can go really close here. I actually think he's going to run a really big race, and I hope he can win this. I did highlight this race back in June. I said... nothing wrong, hasn't been running well, including in the last in the Wokingham. A 9-year-old might be past it. If they can get him to run well, then surely it's the game plan as 2-1, as in 2021. Back to Ascot, including for the Shergar Cup. I had hoped they would get one more run into him, just to get him a few more pound off. They haven't. They've come here straight from Royal Ascot. But I think he can bounce back from that. And I'm quite happy with the 5-1 price about him. you can never be totally sure how Rogue Lightning and Intrinsic Bond are going to get their rides. Existent, so that was definitely a good effort behind the clearly plotted Lord Ridderford at Goodwood. Ground might not be soft enough for Existent, and that's why I'm quite keen on Tis Marvellous here. I think he will run a really big race, and he's 5-1, and I think he'll go very close. The second race I want to look at is the 2:45, the Dubai Duty Free Shergar Cup Challenge, over a mile and just short of a mile and 4. And I think the horse here is La Yakel. So I think this is a little bit lower than what they were hoping to have to be turning up in. They'd had him entered in some good races this year, kept pulling him out because of the ground. They eventually ran him at Ascot and good to soft in places. And to be fair, he's ran fine. He's been beaten a neck in the end by One for the Gutter. Now, initially that looked like a disappointing run, but it was his first run for 281 days. All the others had a run. One for the Gutter had run 20 days before. They were all fit, race fit. La Yakel just looked to lack a little bit of fitness, to be honest. He's got that now. I think he will, run a good race and will improve the run. I hope they were going to go to Goodwood. They didn't. But yeah, I said keep him in your RTR Nagme. They'll be winning a race. And although it's not a feature handicap, I think the prize money of nearly 40 grand has swayed them to run here. So yeah, La Yakel, I'm quite keen on, to be honest, in the third race at Ascot. Yao Morera rides, not an issue. I don't think the horse is that difficult to ride. Just sit in the group and then come down the outside, hopefully. And I think he will go very close. Interestingly, Pride of Priory, who was the reserve, has got in because East Asia doesn't run. So Pride of Priory has got in for Frankie. Has some decent form, but I just think that La Yakel's just more progressive, to be honest, than Pride of Priory. So La Yakel's my second selection at Ascot in the Shergar Cup. Moving on to the third, which is the 3:20, the Shergar Cup Mile. And I think it's really interesting to see Perotto coming back out so quickly. So Perotto actually made my eye catchers back when he dropped £2 to 94 after running at Ascot when not running badly. I suggested that they might go to Goodwood. They did, but they'd actually won a race in between. They'd won at Sandown in between. I don't think that made much of a difference. I don't think it was the penalty for the name of the horse, Perotto, that cost him the race. I just think it didn't quite work out. The soft ground, if you actually watch the race and go back to 2 furlongs out, he's the furthest back of any of those that get anywhere near the front. All of those at the front seem to stay there. He didn't get overtaken by anything down his outside or on his inside. So I just think the ground and the way the race was run affected him there. Obviously, back at Ascot, he is well handicapped. He's still running off a mark of... What does he run off here? Runs off 98. Not a problem. I mean, he's won off a higher mark before. He hasn't won off a higher mark before, but he's won off 94 before. He's won the Britannia. He's been as higher rated as 110. I mean, if he was to return to that sort of form, he would take all the beating here. He has actually won off a higher mark. He won off 99, an effective 99, when carrying a penalty. I'm saying that and now I'm doubting myself again. Yeah, he won off 94 at Ascot, at Goodwood, sorry. He then went and carried a penalty, a £5 penalty in the Britannia, and he still won that. So he's effectively still running off a lower mark. He's running off a £1 lower mark than when winning the Britannia, and yet that's still significantly lower than his best. He's dropped in the handicap. He's shown good form. He showed that he is up to winning races when winning at Sandown 2 runs ago, and the race just didn't work for him last time out. He's priced accordingly. He is available at 5-2, but I think he takes all the beating. Escobar is the one that seems to be getting well supported. Yes, he's got Ascot form. Yes, he's well handicapped, but he needs to start showing some form before I'd be looking at backing him, to be honest. And I think Perotto is just as well handicapped, just as well as just as good a form at Ascot, and has at least shown some winning form recently. And the final horse that I want to talk about is in the 4:30 at Ascot, and I'm really happy to take on the favourite here, Quino. So Quino or Quinault has been winning. What's he won? His last six now. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. He's won his last six for Stuart Williams. Great bit of placing. Clearly, Godolphin let him go too quickly, didn't they? But I want to take him on, and I want to take him on with the second favourite, his old rival, Washington Heights, who's available at 9-2, comfortably available at 9-2. Now, why do I like Washington Heights? So, if Quino or Quinault runs a big race, so will Washington Heights. Washington Heights finished second 4 runs ago to Shaquille. Shaquille's obviously a Group 1 horse. Quino, he then finished second to Quino off a mark of 89. And Quino was running off a mark of 80 that day. So he was running off a mark of 80, Washington Heights off 89. So there was a £9. Washington Heights was giving him £9. They then went to, both of them then went to York. And Washington Heights was beaten by Quino by a head. Washington Heights was running off 90. And Quino was effectively running off 80. Because Connor Planas took £5 off. So there was a £10 swing in the weights, or a £10 different in weight. So it's gone £9, then £10, and then last time out, Washington Heights ran off 94, Quino ran off 86, so £8. Is that right? 86? No, 85. 85 to 94, so there was £9. So it's gone £9, £10, £9. That's how much lower Quinault has been running off. £9 lower, £10 lower. So £9 lower, £10 lower, and £9 lower. Now tomorrow, because Connor can't ride, Quino's going to be ridden by Luke Morris. Running off a mark of 97, Washington Heights is going to get a ride from Holly Doyle. Nothing wrong with Holly Doyle. Off a mark of 94. So Washington Heights is actually getting £3 tomorrow. So having given £9, £10 and £9 in his last 3 runs, tomorrow he's going to get £3. So he's effectively £12, £13 and £12 better off than his last 3 runs when he's been beaten by Quinault by 1 length, a head and 4 lengths. Now, I think when he was beaten by 4 lengths, he kind of went, he chased Quinault too much, whereas he needs to do his own thing, and I think Holly Doyle will let him do his own thing. And I don't think there's going to be a lot between them at all. That's a big swing. 9, 10 and 12, 13 and £12. That is a big swing in weights. And I don't think they should be that far apart at all in the odds. I think they should be nearly the same price, if not Washington Heights just a little bit shorter, to be honest. I know Quinault is winning and Washington Heights is not. I think he's going to go really close. And at 9-2, I'd be much happier backing Washington Heights at 9-2 than I would Quinault at 7-4. And I do think it's out of those two, to be honest. I think they're the improvers. I think obviously the race form has worked out really well already. When they ran in that Bet365 handicap, Millstream, Dark 30, Executive Decision, Tough Enough were horses that finished behind. So Millstream went to France and won a Deauville listed event. Dark 30 went to Goodwood and ran well for 4th. Executive Decision has won at Goodwood and then won at Chepstow. Tough Enough has come out and won at Sandown. The form is really, really strong. And I think that's the form to focus on here. And I'm very keen on Washington Heights here, to be honest. So they are my 4. I'm going for Tis Marvellous to bounce back to form at this course under a ride from Luke Morris, who should give it a similar ride to Adam Kirby. Available at 5-1. I am going for Laya Kell, who's now got a fitness run under his belt. I fully expect him to take all of the beating, and he's available at 100-30. I am going for Perotto, who is available at 5-2. I think Sandown form was good. I think his effort at Goodwood was fine. It just didn't quite work out for him. And in the final race of the day, I am going for Washington Heights at 9-2, who I think can reverse the form with Quinault. Now he's 12, 13 and £10 better off with that horse.